Good morning. I'd like to welcome you all to the Williamson County Commissioners meeting. It's Monday, November 27th. It's 10 a.m. Roll call, please.
Tim Allen.
Present.
Jim Marlowe.
Present.
Jim Reason.
Present.
Is there any old business? Hearing none, we'll move on down to new business. Do we have to, Ben, I had a question about this. Do we have to vote to go into a public hearing, or we're now in a public hearing?
Technically, you should do a public hearing and then call it to order, ask if there's any questions, and then adjourn the public hearing, and then resume your board meeting.
Okay, so now that I've opened this meeting, what do we do now?
So, did you open the public board meeting or did you open the public hearing? I guess that would ultimately be the question.
That was the meeting.
So I would just do a motion to open the truth and taxation public hearing.
Okay.
I'll make that motion. That we open up the truth and taxation public hearing. Second.
Roll call, please.
Tim Atkinson.
Yeah.
Jim Marlowe.
Yeah.
Jim Reason.
Yeah.
Now, in truth and taxation public hearing, is there any comment about the budget? Taxation?
Did you make the adjustments to the budget from the original one that was put on record?
Original tentative budget?
Yeah.
But this is, if I understand this correctly, this is the truth and taxation hearing that allows you to
This is the
go
levy portion?
in an excess of your 5%, so be it. So it's not the budget element, it's just whether or not the county board, if there's any objectors to them being able to exceed their 4.99%.
Are there any objectors? Hearing none. Motion to close out the public hearing.
Yeah, I'll make a motion. We close out this public hearing.
Second.
Roll call, please.
Tim Atkinson.
Yeah.
Jim Marlowe.
Yeah.
Jim Reason.
Yeah.
Okay, moving down to the final budget. 2023. Now your questions.
Yeah. So have the changes been made from the original accepted tentative budget?
Yeah.
I mean, I haven't seen an updated copy of it, so I don't know if like my budget was completely incorrect, so I want to know if that was changed, and then there were a few people that were listed twice or that had incorrect information on their wages that needed to be updated within.
I think everything's been taken care
I
of.
think everything's been changed in the budget.
We'll take your word for it.
Okay. We have a motion to approve the final budget.
So moved. Second.
Roll call, please.
Tim Atkinson.
Yeah.
Jim Marlowe.
Yeah.
Jim Reason.
Yeah.
Next is the appropriations resolution.
It's the motion that we approve the appropriations resolution, resolution number 23-11-27-111. Second.
Roll call, please.
Tim Atkinson.
Yeah.
Jim Marlowe.
Yeah.
Jim Reason.
The statement of tax levy.
I make a motion that we approve the statement of tax levies, resolution number 23-11-27-112. Second.
Roll call, please.
Tim Atkinson.
Yeah.
Jim Marlowe.
Yeah.
Jim Reason.
Yes.
Jail bond abatement, and that's something that we do every year. With motion to approve the jail bond abatement.
I'll make that motion that we approve jail bond abatement, December 1, 23 to November 30, 24, resolution number 23-11-27-113. Second.
Roll call, please.
Tim Atkinson.
Yeah.
Jim Marlowe.
Yeah.
Jim Reason.
Yeah.
Next is a resolution to abate the Public Building Commission bond. Ron Levy,
Make a motion that we approve the jail bond abatement 23/24, resolution number 23-11-27-114.
Second.
roll call.
Tim Atkinson,
Jay?
Jim Royal,
Okay.
Jim Ritter.
And the next on the agenda is the circuit clerk's compliance audit. Is there a chance to go through this? Questions or concerns?
Everything looks good. Kim, did you want to make any comment concerning that?
I think things went very well. The AOIC, they did make a significant change to the format of the report and the information they were wanting, and they're really looking at it now more as a cash flow type report. So they're starting with starting cash, all the receipts, and then the disbursements, and then ending cash, tie out. And the new format required the circuit clerk's office to present a schedule of liabilities, and that was a pretty big undertaking for them. It took some time, but they really dug in, and I think did a great job of putting that together. The reason it was a little difficult is the software company that you would think would be able to produce that, they hadn't implemented the change that the AOIC had issued. They want the changes in the report, and they didn't have it on the horizon any time that they would be able to change that program, so they had to do everything manually. Yeah, but they really did. So Justin and Rachel really just dug in and did it. So, it just, the report shows, basically for this last fiscal year, they were processing about 7.2 million in and out to payments in and out to the different positions. So.
Questions from anyone?
We have a motion to
If there are no further questions, I'll make a motion to approve the circuit clerk's compliance audit.
Second.
roll call, please.
Tim Atkinson.
Yeah.
Jim Royal,
Yes.
Jim Ritter.
Tom, that gets us down to you.
Very good, very well. Do you all have copies of the items you proposed, or do I need to distribute them?
Could you distribute those to
Right.
the Thank you.
Okay, what I've handed you there is the renewal proposal from the Cornwall County Risk Management Trust package for this upcoming year. I did send this out to you at the end of October. I don't know if any of you had a chance to glance at it yet. Basically, what the we're seeing general increases in the property casualty insurance market is systematic increases. That reflects a little bit of the property casualty line that has increased, from 617 to 655. But we also have increases in property values and increases in vehicles and equipment that factor into that as well. But the workers' compensation, we've gotten a nice little bit of relief on workers' compensation. The renewal price for this year of the $303,000 reflects the increased payroll that's associated with the additional $47,000 audit or comp audit the previous year. So the 303 corresponds to about 384 from the previous year. So that's a reduction in the workers' compensation of about $80,000 going into this year. Now, that reflects, some, moving farther away from some really couple of nasty, claim years that we had. And 2020 was, very good. 2021 was, kind of in between. So your work comp experience modification factor has reduced from last year 1.30 to 1.11. Now, what does that experience factor mean? Means in comparison to other Illinois counties, you're, at 1.30, you're 30% higher in risk, claim experience, claim frequency than the mean, okay? So now you've dropped down to 1.1. Now that is, we're approaching about as low as the county's been that in the last, 10, 15 years. We got over, it's almost unheard of, we were like 2.1 or something like that at one point, which is really, really reflects some, claim experience that is drastically different from the norm. So I think, and by the way, I brought Michael Rossi with me again today. Michael's going to take over for me January 1. But one of the things I think that this gives us another opportunity next year into really, dialing into this a little bit. This year, the claim experience this current year is not too bad. If nothing develops big, I think that could continue to improve. The county is carrying a $300,000 self-insured retention now. That means we pay the first $300,000 of every work comp claim. Now, we at one time through 500,000. Okay, so we were 500,000 for a number of years. We stepped down to 300,000. For 1 year, we went back to zero. We got really good, and then we turned hard the other way, back up to 500,000. Now we're down to 300,000. So that's something that a lot of work can be done on. As we move around to next year, look at various options on that. If we can keep safety foremost in our minds and workplace safety and improve this, that can really translate into some decent savings, I think, county going forward. Okay. Other than that, that's kind of my quick take on the iShareMT package, unless there's any details that any of you would like to drill into on that. You have any questions?
No, I'm good.
Okay, very good. Then I'll move on to the earthquake component here, because that is where we're experiencing some more issues here. Okay, the iShareMT program has a $10 million blanket earthquake limit. The property, the building and personal property insurance limits that the county carries about 71 million. So we are insuring, we have been insuring $40 million of 71 million exposure. A little bit of history on that. The iShareMT program used to have a higher limit. I can't remember what, it might have been 20 at one time. I know it was 15. I know now for new clients, they only do 5. So you guys have 10, you're kind of grandfathered into 10. So that was not I think everyone was content with that before these new buildings came on, the jail addition and this building. So that's when we started to be concerned about, you know, what kind of deficit and coverage we had relative to the value exposure. And we began carrying these excess limits. Now, we did carry up until 2020, we carried an additional 5 million too. So at 30, so that would be a total of 45 million. Okay, that hadn't gone through all that. The last 3 years, last year we see 2020 pricing went up. That's when we dropped the 5 million to kind of hold it the same, around 44,000. 2021 was 44,000. 2022, it jumped up to 54,000. We have taken this to market about as wide as you can go. We've sent it to a lot of national brokerages that deal with, you know, reinsurance and excess insurance. We're not getting any offers other than the renewal offer we got from the current carrier insurance company in the West. For $30 million this year, they're going up to 71,460. That is about a 30% increase. One thing that is a minor impact on the increase, just down on the bottom of number 4, I kind of referenced how the property exposures have increased a little bit. So if you're buying $30 million of insurance, still, if that coverage gets distributed over all of your values, if those values increase, insurers look at that as an increased risk too. And so that'll adjust price a little bit. But it won't adjust it enough to account for what we're seeing here, okay? The only thing that I can really attribute this increase to, and it kind of validates it by the fact that we're not getting additional offers from people to come in. It appears to me that reinsurance and excess insurance markets are pretty much at capacity right now with, you know, excess wind, excess flood, excess earthquake. There are limits to what they will, what their balance sheets can take on as risk, and therefore getting, you know, we're seeing this pricing, yeah, you know, these pricing. What do I recommend? To me, it's a, you know, all the money that's been spent on earthquake insurance so far has been wasted. It's a budgetary issue. It's a risk tolerance issue for you all as managers of the county's finances. You know, we could stay with the 71. Another thing that I brought up, and I discussed with Tim briefly yesterday, one thing that we haven't talked about in quite a while is your excess liability limits. And below this, I'm showing your liability coverages and, you know, with the excess limits. So you have a general liability, 1 million per occurrence, 3 million annual aggregate with a 5 million excess. So that's 6 million per occurrence, 8 million aggregate on each line. Okay. A lot of governments, you know, are, you know, carrying 10 million now. You see that quite a bit. But one thing that I will, you know, kind of toss in, the ICRMT program is a little unique in that its coverage are siloed. So you have all the way up general liability, you know, contained with the 5 million excess just for that. Typically, what you see in the normal commercial insurance market and the public entity market is an umbrella rather than pure excess. So you have one $10 million limit over all those areas. Okay, so with the SRT program, you have $20 million segmented, into those categories. So I'm just throwing that out for you to consider, and because in both cases, what we're trying to deal with or make contingencies for are large unexpected claims, and where's your more likely risk to financial loss, is it an earthquake, is it a law enforcement action that goes bad, that creates large liability. So, these are options to consider. And these are things also that we can, we don't necessarily have to deal with these today. The excess portion, we can come back and dig into that a little bit more if there are more things that you would like to see. But so what I've given you on the excess liability section there is if we wanted to increase the excess of the liability side, this incrementally shows you what that would cost. 7 million costs, increasing the excess liability from 5 million to 7 million costs $28,520. So I thought that was good to consider. I'm not trying to muddy the waters. I guess that doesn't muddy the waters as far as the earthquake decision makes. But that's pretty, one thing that I asked for, did not get by this morning. I went back to them on the earthquake, and I wanted to see what they would charge for 10 million or 20 million if we decided we wanted to maybe not sign on, but maybe want something more than the 10 million in the ICRT program, but not necessarily a full 30 million.
So they didn't get back to you on that?
They didn't yet. I might get that later this morning. I don't know. But they did give me a side, with the original quote, they gave me a 25 million option, and it did not go down much at all. So I'm not really, but I need to press that. I asked them to go back. And
Is that different than the 25 we talked about earlier, that was 71,000? That was the same.
yes, right. Yes, 71,000 for the 30 million, and for 25 million, I think it was like 66,000, something like that. I thought it should be,
Okay.
well, but we can nail that down a little bit more for you. It's just a matter of that coming in. So the regular ICRT package, we probably need to go ahead and act on, and because that's a December 1. But if you wanted to suspend the decision on the earthquake, we could do that. And I might even be able, if you're going to be before December 1, I might even be able to get that back to you. Yeah. If you have.
We're meeting on Thursday, I think.
Yeah, I could try to do that. Okay.
Yeah, and I think I'd like, have you talked to the other two commissioners about the excess liability as it pertains to additional police activity?
No,
You haven't had that
no,
conversation?
we haven't discussed, it's been a couple of months, I think, since we really
Yeah.
discussed that. We offered those proposals as options maybe, 4 or 5 years ago, and said, but the thing that's changed, one of the things that the cost, costs have unreasonably excelled everywhere. That's why we're seeing that in the property lines too. Your property reconstruction estimates, have gone like 50 million up over, 70 million. And everything pretty much costs twice what it does. And I don't have anything current to show you, but I imagine that is translated into liability adjustments as well. They're growing soon, right?
So my concern was with increased activity over at the sheriff's office. I don't know if liability is going up, or if our risk is going up. I think maybe we should take a look at that.
Think about it.
Yeah, because what we're working on numbers, how long do we have it? The 1 million, 3 million, 5 million. That's been for several years, actually.
Yeah, this has been, it's what's always been in place when I was involved. I had the county's insurance from about 85 to 96, and then I came back on 2005 or 2006, and that's been in place since 2005. The 1,000,003 plus the 5 has been there since for about 18 years.
It's pretty industry standard.
Is 1 million, 3
Yeah, it is. It is. And it's hard to say. You mean the 5 million excess being?
The 1 million, 3 million.
Oh, yeah.
That's a pretty standard.
Yes, because usually, typically, most commercial insurers on a primary level won't go above 1 million on the primary thing. So, some small business things will go 2 million. So then you go to umbrella or excess markets after that, right? So that's where you layer higher levels of coverage.
All right.
But again, also on the excess, if you wanted to continue, the ICMT package December 1 as it is, if a decision is made, but like I said, we can come back Thursday again and hopefully have that earthquake thing for you. But that can be endorsed on, at any time.
Okay, you guys want to act on our base liability policy? That was the premium that was 958,635. Is that
Correct, yes.
So if you gentlemen would like to act on that and come back and look at liability and earthquake, should we have a little bit more information?
Good.
Right. Is there a motion?
I'll make a motion that we approve the 23-24 ICR county insurance. That's the county liability insurance.
And the premium is $958,635.
Second.
Roll call, please.
Kim Atkinson?
Yeah.
Jim Morrow?
Yeah.
Jim Reason?
Tom?
Okay, thank you. One thing I will add that I just recall, we have a number of minor changes that didn't make it. We had to get this in mid-September, something like that, to get it in line to get the quote out. And there have been some schedule changes, and there have been some additions of equipment and vehicles that we need to add on as we do this. Those will be relatively minor, if they even change pricing. They'll be relatively minor changes when we get those entered in. So, what time's your meeting on Thursday? Is it 10 a.m. also?
I think it's fine.
9. I got the
9? Okay, great. We'll reboot this and see you on Thursday morning.
Stephanie, you make sure to get that out on the agenda. Thank you.
Thank you for your time.
Thanks, Tom. Michael?
Thank you.
Appreciate it. Next on the agenda is joint self-insurance risk pool, intergovernmental agreement. This is a health insurance agreement. And the health options for public entities, self-insurance, and fiscal association. You guys have an opportunity to do this. Let's take it. Did you see anything in this that was out of the ordinary?
No, this is more of the,
It's more than plate stuff.
this is the normal intergovernmental that says everybody's gonna play this.
This is the agreement that allows us to participate in the trust.
Correct.
A motion to approve.
So moved.
Second.
Roll call, please.
Tim Matheson.
Yeah.
Jim Marlowe.
Yeah.
Jim Remser.
Along with this, this paperwork, there is the requirement that we choose somebody to serve as a board member on the whole trust. Has to be an elected official. And it should probably be, any reason why it shouldn't be one of us, or should we choose somebody else?
That is purely
That's our choice.
your pleasure.
I make a recommendation that you as everybody should be. That's okay.
Brett, 50 ILCS 105.
I'm sorry, what was the?
50 ILCS 105. My interpretation is it can't be a commissioner.
I believe that the exception cited that you're actually transferring your powers into the intergovernmental cooperation, which states that any powers or privileges, functions, or authority exercised or which may be exercised by a public agency of the state may be exercised, combined, transferred, or enjoyed jointly with any other public agency of the state and jointly with any public agency of any other state. I can do some additional research on that, Jim, to make sure, but I believe that act allows for, because you're not actually creating a separate board. You are representing this board's participation in the joint cooperative. But I will confirm that. But
Let's table that.
I believe that that's what's going on.
And you have that for Thursday?
Yeah, okay.
Can you table that issue, Phil?
Thank you, Brian.
Yep.
Moving down, we have collective bargaining agreements to approve today. First one is the state's attorney's support staff. They look good in this agreement, guys?
Okay.
I drafted it, so I think so. I believe that's what everybody agreed to.
I make a motion that we approve the collective bargaining agreement between Williamson County government and Mtg County State's attorney support staff.
Second.
Roll call, please.
Tim Atchison,
Yeah,
Jim Marlowe,
Yeah.
Jim Razor.
next one is the bargaining agreement between Williamson County circuit clerk employees represented by labor's local 773.
Same thing, our office prepared this.
Make a motion that we approve the collective bargaining agreement between Williamson County government and the county of Williamson circuit clerk employees.
Second.
Roll call, please.
Tim Atchison,
Yes.
Jim Marlowe,
Yeah.
Jim Razor.
The third one is a agreement between Williamson County and Assessor's Office employees represented by ASME.
I make a motion that we approve the collective bargaining agreement between County of Williamson and Williamson County Assessor's Office.
Second.
Roll call, please.
Tim Atchison, Jim Marlowe,
Okay.
Jim Razor.
On a side note, I've got the animal control one draft that's gone out to the union for review and signature. They have agreed that they would like to extend theirs as well. That then leaves us with highway, which I believe is voting today or tomorrow, is my understanding. And then the sheriff's department offices that are associated with them, I've not
I
communicated.
reached out and I've not had a response yet.
So that's my knowledge at this point on the collective bargaining.
Moving on down the agenda, down to the highway department.
All right, guys, this is a subdivision approval. Spear subdivision, this is a one-lot subdivision on Howard Road, which is off Country Club Road near Lake of Egypt. They've also presented to me a exception. So here, the subdivision policy 5.01 basically says that they've got to have 75 foot of public frontage to be able to subdivide. In this particular case, there's an access and utility easement of 3 foot wide owned by SIPC along the full west side of Howard Road. And it looks like, by looking at Google, that there's already one person on the south side that is accessing this lot across this line. Alex, correct me if I'm wrong, you've talked to SIPC and they're not willing to.
I've talked to the attorney for SIPC. They do nothing about selling that 3 foot strip, dividing it, anything like that, which was originally indicated to us that that was a possibility. So they intend to keep that 3 foot strip as far as they know.
So, as far as the roadways go, they're already accessing across it. It's an access and utility easement part of the land surveyor. And it's into your guys' court whether or not you want to approve the variance. And it's an access and utility easement that doesn't follow the policy. But They can cross it through the access and utilities.
Can you bring that down so we can see what you're talking about?
So this strip here. 3-foot wide strip here. There's, look on the building, there's big
You got trailer
building.
places.
Right. And so they're accessing. And then the gentleman that's subdividing this lot. He owns this. He's subdividing this lot.
And he doesn't have 75 codes.
He only has nothing.
Technically,
A spike strip.
And correct me if I'm wrong, Alex, but it causes additional tax bills also for you. If you reason, one of the reasons you.
there will be a bill in the subdivision and there will always be that 3-foot strip.
Right.
Even if it gets sold to them, eventually there will always be a separate bill for that 3-foot strip.
That's on Howard Road.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And just as a side note, the taxes for this year or the first installment is not. So if you approve, they don't need for this.
Yeah.
And I made the guys aware of that and they said they can get the property owner to pay on that. No, I'm sorry, that's a different subdivision. That's 100%. I'm possible.
I was gonna say, I thought these in the back.
No, these haven't paid either. I checked on them this morning,
Okay.
so.
Just so you guys know, past practice, the only thing that prevents is the manual.
So. I will say this, one thing that I probably should have done is read that access and utilities. I did not do that.
We checked it.
It's good.
There was an old one from way back and then they just recorded a new one this summer,
Okay.
late summer, I believe. Yeah.
So it does provide you access.
Yes.
I mean, the surveyor put it on there, so I'm assuming that's right. Now, I don't know, Alex checked, that's good. So they do have access, but it does not meet the 75 foot mark
They have no frontage on a road.
on a public road.
So show me.
It's only 174 deep.
They'll come, this is Howard Road right here.
There's
They'll come right on Howard Road. But they have
That's
to
why
cross
it's
this 3-foot access and utility easement, which technically, since they do not own that, they're accessing the property through an access easement, not through actual road frontage. Correct, Alex?
I'm sorry.
They're accessing the property
So,
across, an
yes.
access easement, not across road
So are
frontage.
we setting up a future property?
But it's not considered landlocked because it's got the permanent easement.
Exactly, it's got the access.
But it doesn't meet the standard for our subdivision.
Correct.
So technically, you're not creating a problem. They can't take that access away from you because it's recorded access. But it does not meet 5.01, the subdivision laws, which says you have to have 75 foot of public road front.
We should reinstall a policy.
Yeah, that's what
We're
you're
setting
saying.
the present. Yeah. If I can buy it. It hasn't been successful. From what I understand, SIPC everything's up there anyway, so it's a cost issue.
Well, I don't know why, other than to comply with you guys, I don't know why they would ever want
Right.
to. I mean, SIPC can't do anything to prohibit it. Actually, they can't put up a gate, they can't do anything along those lines, so why pay a high dollar for access that you already have through the easement is how they're looking at it. It really just comes down to whether or not you guys are gonna grant the variance.
It comes down to us and that in other subdivisions, they haven't had that 75 foot.
So generally, you look at variances as, was the need for the variance created by the homeowner? Or is it due to circumstances outside of their specific control? That's the general rule of thumb that you look at.
And if this was a new subdivision, you would not approve a 3 foot, what I would say is a spike strip. It's not exactly a spike strip, but we would not approve. If this is an existing situation, been there for 2 years, I don't even know why SIPC's got that in fee ownership. Seems kind of
Because
silly.
it was left on subdivision, this other,
It very well could have.
that's exactly what happened. We did the research.
But this parcel is gonna be cut down to 175 by 150.
Yes.
Right.
6/10 of an acre. This.
You have questions? All right, is there a motion to approve this variance? Okay. We'll take it till Thursday.
Again, the taxes are not up to date.
It's not,
I can take it, or we can make it here for the Thursday. Can we take it?
Yeah. All right. Make sure we get that back on the. We're going down the agenda. I didn't know ordinances, appointments, is one comment on there?
I work with budget. I mean, as I work with budget.
Okay. All right, move on down to miscellaneous, ARPA. What you got?
I'm certainly. This is for White Ash Sewer Project, Horn Shifrin invoice for $1,000.80 for construction observation. I've got one for Village of Freeman Spur for Horner and Shifrin for an invoice for construction administration for $544.40. Village of Pittsburgh, invoice for Farley Engineering, $7,200 for construction observation and inspections, and then, pay estimate number 3 to J.M. Jones for $48,950.80. This will close out the award. The actual amount due was $82,000. They informed, I think, the board that they had outside funding available to complete the project. So that totals $56,158. They were out there award with the county. Burnside Water District for Horner Shifrin, $548.94, and that's for planning and project management. Burgess Water District, estimate number 9 for Woods Excavating, $32,969.47. And then 2 additional invoices for Farley Engineering, one for $503.75, the other one for $2,880.38 for stakeout, layouts, observation, et cetera. Staking out the areas. Lakeside Water District, invoice for Barrett 2, Brewing Hughes and Polk for legal work, $675, and then another invoice for Horn Shifrin for $750 for project planning. Parent House of Hope. Their September billing for food and supply purchases for the kitchen and food pantry for September was $2,009.24.81. And then their October billing for the same thing, food and supply purchases for kitchen and food pantry, $2,456.78. There was one person, I can't remember on the September, October, that I removed because it wasn't a food pantry purchase, so I deducted that off of the
Yeah, it's from Parent House.
Parent House.
You have anything else for miscellaneous?
Yeah, for budgeting, I guess this is for the upcoming budget. In regards to, the reimbursement of the special funds from the line item you guys have created for this $1.50. The question is what kind of disbursements request timeline are you wanting to set up? Are you wanting to reimburse those funds on a quarterly basis, on a semi-annual basis, on an annual basis? I would prefer not to have us submit information on a per pay period basis, because it just doesn't, that's too cumbersome for my office to, because I figure we're gonna have to be the ones that are gonna prepare the reports to provide you and probably the claims or step. I mean, we might as well do the claims, otherwise it's on the step. You want to reimburse them on a quarterly or?
I was gonna suggest
Quarterly.
there as well.
Quarterly, quarterly, pay for you. Ashley?
Yeah, I mean, that shouldn't be a problem. So we'll do one for each, one each for each fund, I guess. So, county clerk will have, well, are you paying anything from Vital? So county clerk will have Vital, automation, I'll have automation, we'll have GIS. Clerk will have not storage, automation,
Op-ed.
and op-ed, so we'll be doing one of those for each one quarterly. In regards to the upcoming year's reimbursements, this year we've had the Treasurer's Automation Fund and then the County Clerk's funds paying just the gross amount of reimbursement for just the wages only. All the other levy extensions, FICA, IMRF has been paid by the board. For GIS and for the circuit clerk, they've been paying everything. For this upcoming year, I mean, how are you going to approach this? One thing I'd like to say is you are deferring this $1.50. I mean, for this year, for those, all the funds.
And next year,
We're picking up the full. So,
yeah.
I mean, it doesn't affect Alex as much at the moment, but if he's able to add his other two people, that's going to be a fair amount. And Justin has 8 or 12 people, I mean, on his, so you're talking possibly $30,000 or $40,000 that he's going to have to be absorbing for next year, plus the dollar, assuming for the raise for next year, right? That's in the contract that you just approved.
There'll be an increase from next year.
Yeah, so that's what you're looking at, $2.50.
And you're paying just the wages.
I just pay the wages, and Amanda just pays the wages, because our funds are on this right now.
So he continues to pay the wages, or does he pick up the extra? I thought we'd had a discussion about this, some kind of discussion.
Sure.
So he's paying wages only now. And I thought we had said wages only on this because our funds are going to go to zero.
Right.
You guys good with that? Wages only
For everybody.
for you and the man.
Well, I'm asking for every, because we have to prepare the claims moving forward, so I'm looking at each department. So are you gonna have Alice continue to do what he's doing now and carry it through to next year, or are you gonna back him off to wages only? And then same way with Justin's office. Because we need to know it's
You're
back.
paying everything, right?
Pay the full freight.
He pays the full, yeah.
They continue to pick up the benefits like they have been, or we pick it up?
It was my understanding that they continued.
That was my understanding.
We talked wages.
Right, we were just doing wages. So. we
Just
had that
wages
discussion.
for everybody.
Wages for everybody. And if they were paying the benefits before, they're going to continue to pay.
They're continuing paying the benefits for this year. Okay.
Yes. With the exception of you, Amanda's office, because your office's budget, your office funds don't have the same replenishment. Anything else, actually?
Yeah, so this may be a question for Justin, but I think it may pertain. There was once a $50 that was being paid out of all the special funds for
I think
everybody.
he's going back to 56.
That's gonna be
That was
56.
above and beyond what the board had agreed to pay his employees.
Okay.
So how he does those funds are going to be up to him.
And then what about insurance? I mean, for any, well, either for Alice's employees that are paid out of special funds or out of Justin's. I mean, is the insurance being paid by, because some of the employees were being paid insurance from the levy fund and others were being reimbursed, being paid outside of those special funds. For the upcoming year.
If they were picking up benefits, then they pick up that cost.
Okay.
Does that answer that question?
Yeah, because I think last year, if they were considered to be, I think an employee that was on the budget, but then was removed off, and the county picked up the insurance. It was for any kind of newly created position that wasn't ever existing on the county side.
I would think new employees. In most offices, new employees would be picked up in the county. In those offices where somebody might be created and a new employee might be under Justin's automation accounts, they would be picking that.
Okay.
I mean, that's a pretty what if out in the weeds question right there.
I know, but it's one that's taken place, that's what I'm asking. And it's had different ways to address it over the past 2 years. So that's why I'm going to get clarified now, moving forward. This Paid Leave Act, I don't know, this may be a question for Brett, but has that been addressed, the 40 hours? Is that covered in the collective bargaining? Is that 40 hours that we have to carve out and show in a separate line item? Are they accruing it? Are we front loading it? This all has to take place January 1, so, my understanding for what we've searched and watched and researched is that if you accrue it, then they can carry it over. If you front load it and give it all to them at once, and it's a use it or lose it. Have we talked about that or discussed that at all?
So the collective bargaining agreements that are in effect prior to January 1 do not need to address it until the subsequent collective bargaining negotiation.
Okay,
That essentially, at this point in time, would be everybody. That's under a collective bargaining agreement. We don't have to address it until 25 or 27.
okay,
Depending upon what happens in the sheriff's department. I don't know where that's at. So it only deals with the non-union employees that we need to address from a county level as to what the county board wishes to do. So,
be my office, the mayor's office, and then any non-bargaining, public defender's office, any non-bargaining individual.
any part-time that's not part of a collective bargaining.
Not part-time. Part-time lady.
Any part-time that's not part of a collective bargaining.
In
So like
addition,
Travis has part-timers that are
Right.
included in his collective bargaining.
and they're included in that 40 hours.
They're excluded from having to deal with it until their contract is up. But anybody else that you would have part-time that is non-union, you have to address it. It goes into effect January 1. The availability of use of time does not happen until April 1. Because the first 90 days, there is no use of those days.
If you approve. So if you front load it.
If you front load it, they're allowed to use it.
I know what most of them are doing. I don't know where the board's gonna go. So one of the options that we've seen happen is you grab however many personal days that they currently have, if that's 3, then you grab 2 of the sick days, you create those as the 5 paid leave for all. Those have the unrestricted use, can't ask why, et cetera. So then the sick days are reduced to 10, and the personal day / the extra 2 go into a 5-day pot that are use it or lose it by the end of the year. Then part-time, you accrue it because there's no way to front load 40 hours because you don't know how many hours they're gonna work. They've got to work at least 1,600 in order to get the full 40. If that happens, then you're also triggering IMRF, at which point you're probably triggering a full-time employee.
So the part-time people, even if they're seasonal.
Yep.
They, this applies to them.
But they may not meet their 90 days to use it. So it has no payout value. Yeah, it was a well thought of law.
So,
And the Department of Labor has indicated that they will have further guidance by April 1.
okay. So in the case of the non-union office, we're requesting and getting information from those offices to be able to put in their
The board will have to do it.
information. Well, we're starting to do that today. I mean, so can we get this done quickly? Is that possible?
Yeah, it's possible. Yes, we'll have discussion.
Because I mean, what we've seen, we have to, identify a separate line of those particular, like hours. I mean, they can't be included in sick or vacation. They have to be this, whatever, PTO.
They can be
line.
included, but then they end up having whatever value those have
Right.
currently. So if you convert them to sick, then they convert to sick, they're able to carry and go into IMRF service credit, et cetera. If you keep them segregated, then they stay segregated. So there's a lot of options. It's just a question of where the county boards land on it.
Are we in a holding pattern then until we get an answer?
You can be in whatever pattern you'd like to be in. I just don't think there's not an answer yet.
Well, I'm just saying, we're inputting everybody's new wages and everything else right now. We have a payroll next Friday. So, I mean.
But those won't go into effect for actual accrual until January 1.
We'll just have to pull them out depending on what they, either if they add or subtract or.
But what I'm saying is either way, it's not, it doesn't take effect. It's the other great thing about the way the law was written is it goes into effect January 1. Your problem is your contract wages, et cetera, go into effect December.
Right.
So there's gonna have to be a double entry. I would suggest we enter it the same time we do the health insurance one.
Well, we're in the health insurance now.
That's already done.
Yeah, that's, I mean,
Well, that's because you pay a month ahead.
Right.
Insurance.
Yeah, you have to deduct a month ahead.
I think the county board can put it on the agenda in the future. We can have a discussion and
Yeah,
get it wrapped up in 10, 15 minutes.
or 3 hours.
10, 15 minutes.
Yeah. Let's get that on Thursday.
last thing is for this current budget, December 13th is the last day for any offices to submit any fiscal year 23 expenses.
That has been how it's been done.
It's, well, I guess, I don't know if this needs to be addressed or not. I mean, currently, when I ran a report, we were $1.3 million of the good. Even though we're pretty deficient in some areas for receipts. I mean, if we happen to get past this 1.3 million and go into the deficit, how does that affect us being in the final budget?
So you're talking if the general fund expends more than 1.3 million more,
Yeah.
right? Well, your general fund spending will have to stop once you do that. So whatever is written that is above that will have to be applied to the next fiscal year.
So am I supposed to give you guys daily reports? So that way, whenever they come through, or make sure that I'm coordinating with Amanda's office and Sarah, that we were looking at those and keeping those things at a bare minimum. What are we doing? Because everybody's going to start, I mean, coming hot and heavy with all these year-end purchases and everything else. So the question is do you want them, or are you going to tell them that what's in their budget is what's in there, or are you going to allow them to potentially go over and cover the contingency expenses, or what's the thought process?
What's your thought process? That's how we've done that in the past.
Well, historically, when a line item has gone over, Amanda or representative will bring forth the claim and a report showing you line item 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 is over. There's a claim, and if you want to go ahead and expend it for whatever reason, then you'd have to physically sign it. But then you just sort of start a folder with those, and whichever ones you sign to go ahead, you have a plan first. Okay, well, we have an appropriations transfer that we were planning for anyway. We knew this. So I don't know if we have any planned ones. But if you don't, then you do sort to look and say, well, this is going to fit into our budget this year, or this is going to have to be held till next year. And then you call the office holder and you either return the claim or you come up with your plan that way. You just don't know what claims are going to come forward until they do.
Right.
We've always looked at their overall budget.
Yeah.
What they had.
Yeah, that's one consideration. And another consideration is if you had put something, for example, in contingency during the year, and you just hadn't transferred it yet because you do transfers at the end of the year. So if there was an addition, you were bargaining something like that, and you still needed to do your transfer from contingency, then you know that's coming, and you go ahead and approve it, and then you do the appropriations transfer.
I'm just saying, some offices are diligent in looking at their budgets and making sure that they stay within. Others in this county, or if I need it, I'm going to get it, and you guys figure it out later. So that's why I'm giving you a heads up now and telling you where we stand.
I think the governor for that is in the clerk's office with the line item and the overspending, and then they'll bring it to your attention. Has that seemed effective for you in the past?
It's worked fine in the past. We have not been in this situation where we have always had excess receipts.
Okay.
So we are always able, and everybody has always been, we pay out a contingency because we know we are over the budget.
Okay.
This year, I mean, I don't think we have anything else coming in. I mean, we are short on receipts. So, like several $1 million. So, you know, we were at the moment, when we ran the budget, it was $4 million, and then the next thing I know is it's down to like 1.3, so. Well, we were $4 million less in expenses, but we were approximately $1.7 million less in receipts, so we had 1.3, but then all of a sudden, I started seeing more money. These bills that are already showing up in our office that are well over line item budgets.
Yeah, is it
And are
good,
digging into department overall budgets.
is a good portion of that receipts shortage due to the second installment, you
Yeah.
think? Okay,
But I mean, there's also several, the income tax is less, there's other.
Right.
So, yeah, that's a big, which isn't good.
yeah, so the 4 million, if you remember, that it was about 3.5 that you knew was not going to come in because of the timing of the real estate tax bills. So you lifted that into next year, and then you went down into your disbursement areas for some fund transfers and insurance expenses and things like that. And you also stopped those and moved those to next year. So they had a planned reduction in revenues, but they also had a planned reduction in expenses for 23 that when you do the claim, it's going to be the difference of 11/30 day versus 12 day. So I think if you look at it like that, then maybe see what the difference is, but then monitor the claims for just unexpected things. You don't know what you're going to get to the end. So now we were also thinking that, yes, there was a shortage in the income tax, but they had budgeted 0 for the casino revenues. And so if that ended up being, a little over 300,000, maybe by the time, that would help shore up that
But
shortage.
I already got, I mean, I already got that money when I was
Yeah.
doing the calculations.
Okay.
I had actually we've gotten everything from the state, including the lost 70 grand
Yeah.
revenue that didn't show up from the casino.
Right.
The prior, but I mean, so we've gotten everything, plus everything written over that I'm aware of from all the departments within the first 2 weeks. So pretty much what that receipt line is where it stands for the remainder of the month.
So one thing you can do maybe on Thursday, since what Ashley's saying is all the receipts that he believes are coming in are coming in. They're here, they're accounted for. So if you look at a receipts report, and then you also look at a year-to-date disbursements report, and look at that variance, and if that's about 1.3 million, right?
Yeah, that's what it was. That's the
Give or take, okay.
last one.
And then maybe check that regularly. You know, you're going to have the receipts, but check the disbursement report. See if you can get a disbursement report. Amanda, do you do checks daily?
Pretty much.
Okay, so I don't know that it would be a big deal for you guys to get that report daily, so you can monitor that. And then when you get claims that are over, then you can kind of assess where you are every day and decide, okay, we're good with this.
I mean, I can print out everything.
Yeah. Yeah, and is that something you can email to
Yeah.
them? And then that would help monitor sort of where you're at. So I think what Ashley is referring to is not spending more than you received, even though you did budget to expend more. The receipt side didn't quite match up. So just looking to not have negative cash flows, right? Is that yeah. And you have about 1.3 million is your window. And then watch those lines for sure that you guys budgeted to move over to next year, because those are big ticket. That'll lead up to 1.3 million.
Anything else?
No.
If I have anything else?
I do.
Alex?
There's a statute that says I am supposed to be bonded for $2,000.
Mhm.
I have never been bonded. We never carried over Jeff's bond. $2,000 seems small. Because it's malfeasance, basically. If I were to apply disabled veterans exemption to my house, that would cover it, but barely. And I don't have a very elaborate house. If I were to just apply it to somebody, Ashley's house, it probably wouldn't cover that tax bill. Do we want to have me explore bond prices for the statutory amount? We started looking at mean and median tax bills for the county. Is that something we want to look at? I'm just looking for direction here. Where do we want to go?
Where's your bond? I had a conversation with Tom, and I wish you had brought that up. I Tom was here, we could take care of your bond.
What's on the agenda?
Yeah. But it's fine, I can reach out to Tom. But he's gonna have to have a bond.
But do we want to go 2,000? Do we want to keep looking for average tax bill, including commercial, industrial?
What do you require to have?
Median tax bill, so the middle number of all the tax bills submitted.
I would take a look at that. It's, well, my median is just the average. And make our decision.
I would hope that the median and the average are going to be two different numbers.
Just take a look.
There's a whole lot more residential.
We'll just take a look at both of them. Bill. It's something for us to go by then to base our decision.
Mine's $1 million and it's $1,800.
Yeah, I'm thinking, $10,000-$15,000. Should be.
Yeah, it's only gonna be a few $100.
But $2,000 bond seems awful low for.
Sure. There's no argument there.
Okay, you'll get us that information by Thursday, we're gonna get a decision on Thursday.
We've got the program. Hopefully.
Okay. Anybody else?
You've got the one hard copy of the budget book you asked for. I gave that to Stephanie. And one hard copy of the circuit clerk audit report. I'm just trying to keep it to the minimums for the paper that we had talked about. You do have the certificate of compliance. That was in the email of the original documents back on November 16th. And so that is just simply a document that you sign that states you've had your hearing and the county clerk will attest to that. And then that, along with the appropriations resolution and the tax levy resolution, those will all need to go down to the tax, Janice Flanagan. She'll need to have all those documents along with the bond payments. Okay, so once you get all those signed, then send those down to Janice, and then she'll have everything on file.
Sounds good.
Perfect. Anybody else?
Motion and then nothing else. Second.
Roll call, please.
Tim Atkinson?
Yeah.
Jim Marlowe?
Yeah.
Jim Reason?
Yeah.